9 moves I run every week on Opus 4.7, skills, cowork, the whole stack. 3 are about how to use a model, 5 are about how to deploy without losing your job, and 1 is about how to scale yourself. The pattern is identical across every wave. The people who treat the new tool like tool falls behind. The people who treat it like colleagues with the security clearance will pull ahead. Here's move 1.
Write me a proposal for a financial services client and make it impressive.
This is better than the 40 firms before us. If they don't, the meeting ends. Now there are 3 layers. Role, who's in the room. Constraint, what's the output cannot do. Decision, what gets decided when this land. A junior prompt is a wish list. A veteran brief is a contract. The bottleneck used to be the talent. The bottleneck now is the brief. That's one brief. But the same 6 lines are armed within 5 different rooms, and that's where it actually compounds. Watch this. Here's move 2. Same 6 lines, different roles. CFO output led the cost contamination. Audit chair output leads to regulatory exposure. Same content, but with different instance and with different room. I kept 5 roles variant in one Claude project: CFO, audit chair, CISO, board chair, and skeptical investor. Same content run through all 5. By the time I walk into the actual meeting, I've heard the argument from every chair at the table. Rotate the role, same brief, but 5 room. Here's move 3. Last quarter, I was about to recommend a vendor, strong intuition. Prices was held, and the references were actually clean. I almost didn't run this move 3. You're the most skeptical board member in the room, the one who had killed 3 of my recommendations in the last 2 years. Find the 3 weakest points and tell me what I haven't thought through. Now, right here, Opus contradicts its own earlier conclusion. Now remember, these are not chatbots, these are reasoning engine. They are stress testing itself. 40 minutes later, these 3 weak points came back, and the third one was on data residency exposure 6 months out, which saved the multi-million-dollar deal. Don't use Claude to confirm you're right. Use it to prove that you're wrong. And if you aren't little ego bruised by the outcome, you're not using the model to full reasoning capacity in the power model, the next 5 moves are about to tell you how to deploy it without losing your job. The single most underrated attack surface in 2026 is MCP, Model Context Protocol, the plumbing that let Claude reach into your stack, your drive, your CRM, your email. Now look at this. Every connector here is a network port, everyone. The recent MCP disclosure proved that cyber team have been quietly warning you about. The protocol is being deployed faster than the security model around it has matured. The mental model shift you need to make is to stop thinking of MCP server as features and start thinking of them as port. Apply the same posture you would apply to opening the port for a production firewall. Who has the access? What's the audit trail? What's the kill switch? Would you open this port to a contractor? If the answer is no, why is it open for your AI agent? Now, most CIO cannot answer that question yet, and the one who can are 6 men ahead of the one who cannot. Move 5 is what I almost learned the hard way a couple of months ago. Cowork running on Micros 365 drafted a follow-up. It composed email to a regulated client. The email was unfinished. The placeholder where the number should have been, coworker tried to send it. A permission rule caught it. If I hadn't had that rule, an unfinished email to a regulated client would have gone out under my own name. Here's the principle. The agent identity is not your identity. When cowork act, it acts as a service account that happened to authenticate through your credential. That is privilege access management problem. 20 years of PAM thinking applies. Scoped the credential, time limited token, hard gate the outbound action, and audit trail every single request. If you have not mapped your AI agent permission surface the way you manage your new hire network access, you already are creating a liability for your board which is not priced out. Speaking of permission, this is the document that tells you how Claude resolve a conflict between operator and user, and almost no senior leader has opened it up. Move 6. This is Anthropic published constitution for Claude. What the model is allowed to do, what it must refuse, and how to handle the instruction hierarchies. Now look at this clause. It tells exactly how Claude resolve conflict when operator instructions, the system prompt your company deploys, contradict user requests from one of your employees. The operator wins on most things, but the baseline security safety rules override every other operator. So you cannot prompt your way around refusal. Claude is constitutionally bound to make it. If you do not know how that resolution works, you do not know what your agents will do under pressure. You are trusting a vendor marketing instead of vendor specification. I read every model specification under the release date. So should every CIO and every CISO in this audience. It's the difference between running model and being run by a model. Move 7. Now this is cybersecurity grift to AI usage. I run 3 brief tier, not just one. Tier 1. Throw away draft internal notes exploitation. Lose constraint and do a fast iteration. Tier 2. Customer facing material and vendor evaluation and internal stakeholder communication, tighter constraint, source citation requirement, mandatory human review before you send it. Tier 3. Board memos, regulatory submission, anything which is irreversible. Use maximum constraint, do a source citation and do a formal sign off, do a full audit log. Same model, same Claude. 3 different operating postures depending on the blast radius if this goes wrong. Most users have one model. They're either over-engineering low-stake work or under-engineering the high-stake work. Veterans calibrate this. Now the biggest bottleneck in any leadership team is the senior partner's brain, the judgment, the pattern recognition, the thing that it took 25 years to build on and live exactly in one's head. Move 8 is how you scale that brain. Now for last many years, I've used the same structure to brief senior leaders on cybersecurity risk. Specific shape, specific tone, specific evidence standards. A couple of months ago, I encoded it in Claude Skill in one afternoon. Draft a CISO update for a board on our current MCP exposure. 3 pages max. Tomorrow is the audit committee. Now what's the structure? Exposure surface before technical detail. Now board wants to know what they own first. The skill does that automatically. Every claim is tied to the source. Every hard constraint as the brief is encoded into one. It runs every time. The question the audit committee will actually ask, which is preempted, because I sat in this room. The skills knows because I trained it in those rooms. I'm not coding, I'm encoding 25 years of judgment into reusable asset. My team doesn't get my voice, they get my standard. This is how you double team's outcome without doubling the headcount. Please stop being a bottleneck. Last move. It's boring, but it's critical. The one that lets you survive a regulator at the door. Every brief I wrote saved with a timestamp, every scale, version control, every cloud output that touches your real decision, logged with the brief it ran against and the skill version that produced it. Now this sounds tedious until you sit through your first regulatory conversation about how an AI generated decision you made. Show me the brief that produces outcome. Show me the version of the skill that ran. Show me the source material it cited. If you cannot answer these 3 questions, you cannot ship Claude into regulated world. That's the end of the conversation. Build the audit chain before you need to, not after it. The 25-year-old tech veterans in your industry are doing this quietly. The one who aren't will find out in next 2 years that they should have been doing it. Now let's go back to that conference room. The partner pulled me aside and asked me, how did you drafted that in 90 minutes? I let him think it was talent. But the real answer were 9 moves, the 6-lane brief, a skill that took an afternoon, and last couple of years in cybersecurity discipline applied to the tool. The rest is industry is still treating it as a chatbot. The senior leaders running this play right now are going to look like they doubled overnight in 18 months. They didn't. They just stopped treating this thing like a chatbot 18 months earlier than everyone else. We are living in a printing press movement. Pick a side. I broke down the real story behind cloud mythos last week. Watch that next. Link is below. See you next Friday.